how Charlie Kirk rose to fame and built an empire. From a quiet suburban upbringing to becoming one of the most recognizable and controversial figures in American politics, Charlie Kirk's rise to fame and the building of his political empire is a story of timing, ambition, and relentless networking. His name, Charlie Kirk, has become synonymous with Turning Point USA, conservative youth activism, and the modern culture wars shaping American society. But behind the speeches, viral debates, and media presence lies a carefully constructed path that transformed a young college dropout into a national icon, with an empire that spans politics, media, and influence. Charlie Kirk was born on October 14, 1993, in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and raised in the nearby suburb of Prospect Heights. His father, Robert W. Kirk, worked as an architect, while his mother, Beverly, managed the household. Growing up in a middle-class environment, Charlie attended Wheeling High School, where he was known more for his involvement in community and religious activities than for excelling academically. Kirk often recalls that his early life was shaped by his Christian upbringing and his conservative family values. But unlike many political figures who emerge from elite institutions, Charlie Kirk's path would diverge dramatically. His turning point came in 2010, when he was just 17 years old. While still in high school, Charlie Kirk wrote an essay for Breitbart News criticizing progressive influences in American education. The piece caught the attention of businessman Bill Montgomery, a Tea Party activist in Illinois. Montgomery encouraged Kirk to take his conservative ideas to a broader audience. Kirk responded by founding Turning Point USA in 2012, at only 18 years old. With Montgomery as a mentor, Kirk focused on mobilizing conservative voices on college campuses, spaces that he and his supporters believed were dominated by liberal ideology. Turning Point USA began modestly, headquartered in the suburbs of Chicago with limited funds. But Kirk's organizational instincts and ability to connect with wealthy conservative donors quickly transformed the group into a political force. By 2014, Turning Point had already expanded to dozens of campuses across the U.S. Kirk relentlessly pursued billionaire supporters, including the Koch brothers network, Richard Uihlein and Foster Friess. These connections provided the financial backbone for the organization's explosive growth. The keyword, Charlie Kirk, was no longer just a name of a young activist. It was becoming a brand. Kirk's strategy was simple yet powerful: focus on youth, messaging, and visibility. Turning Point USA's signature initiative became its Professor Watch List, launched in 2016, which named professors accused of promoting left-wing ideology. The initiative sparked national controversy, with critics calling it an attack on academic freedom and supporters praising it as a necessary counterweight to liberal dominance in academia. The controversy only amplified Kirk's profile, making him a frequent guest on Fox News, where he would spar with commentators and position himself as the voice of conservative youth. 2016 proved to be the most pivotal year in Charlie Kirk's rise. The election of Donald Trump transformed the political landscape, and Kirk aligned himself firmly with the new movement. At just 22, he campaigned vigorously for Trump, organizing Turning Point rallies and establishing himself as a trusted surrogate for the campaign on college campuses. Trump's victory provided Kirk with access to the highest levels of Republican politics. Soon, he was photographed at the White House, shaking hands with key figures and appearing alongside Donald Trump Jr. His ability to network with political elites while maintaining his grassroots image gave him a dual identity, both insider and outsider. As Turning Point USA grew, so did its budget. From raising just $78,000 in 2012, The organization expanded to raising tens of millions annually by 2019. Its events became spectacles, hosting conferences that featured conservative celebrities such as Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and even President Trump himself. Kirk's empire was no longer confined to campuses. It had become a nationwide network with over 400 chapters and a massive online presence. Part of Charlie Kirk's genius was recognizing the power of social media. By his mid-20s, Kirk had built a following of millions on Twitter and Instagram. His posts, often short and combative, became viral content within conservative circles. This online strategy turned Kirk into more than just the founder of an organization. It turned him into an influencer whose words could spark debates across the country. He mastered the art of blending political messaging with entertainment, appealing to younger audiences who consumed politics through memes, videos, and sound bites. But Kirk's empire was not without controversy. Investigative reports revealed tensions within Turning Point USA, including allegations of questionable spending, high turnover, and internal conflicts. Critics accused the organization of prioritizing flashy events over substantive policy work. Others pointed to its deep reliance on billionaire donors as evidence that it was less a grassroots movement and more a well-financed machine. Yet these criticisms never derailed Kirk's trajectory. If anything, they reinforced his image as a fighter against the establishment. By 2020, Charlie Kirk had cemented himself as one of Trump's most loyal allies. He was a featured speaker at the Republican National Convention, representing young conservatives on a national stage. Kirk also expanded his empire by founding Turning Point Action, a political arm focused on electoral influence, and Students for Trump, an initiative dedicated to mobilizing college students for Trump's re-election. His organization poured resources into swing states, helping register voters and organize rallies. Although Trump ultimately lost the 2020 election, Kirk's presence within the conservative movement remained unshaken. At just 27, Kirk had achieved what many seasoned operatives spend decades chasing: direct access to presidents, billionaires, and millions of followers. His empire extended beyond Turning Point. He launched The Charlie Kirk Show, a popular podcast and radio program that reaches millions of listeners each week. The show blends political commentary, culture war rhetoric, and interviews with major conservative figures. This media expansion ensured that the keyword, Charlie Kirk, was no longer tied only to college activism. It had become part of the broader conservative media landscape. Critically, Kirk also cultivated relationships with religious audiences. A devout Christian, he often speaks about faith and the role of Christianity in public life. His speeches to evangelical audiences reinforced his base of support among religious conservatives, a crucial demographic in American politics. By appealing simultaneously to students, donors, media consumers, and churchgoers, Kirk built a multi-layered empire of influence. Financially, Turning Point USA became a powerhouse. Public filings show the organization pulling in more than $50 million annually by the early 2020s. These funds supported conferences, media projects, and even training programs for young conservative candidates. The empire Kirk built was not only about ideology, it was about creating an institutional framework to shape the next generation of political leaders. However, Kirk's journey has also been marked by criticism from both left and right. Liberal critics accuse him of spreading misinformation, inflaming divisions, and promoting culture wars at the expense of dialogue. Some conservatives, meanwhile, argue that his approach prioritizes personality and spectacle over long-term policy victories. Yet despite these critiques, Kirk's brand has only grown. His ability to thrive on controversy, to dominate media cycles, and to maintain a constant presence has made him one of the most enduring figures of his generation. Today, Charlie Kirk's empire continues to expand. He has taken Turning Point beyond campuses into broader cultural and political battles, launching initiatives that address high schools, faith-based communities, and media platforms. His show consistently ranks among top conservative podcasts, and his appearances at conferences draw thousands of attendees. Whether one sees him as a champion of free speech or as a polarizing agitator, there is no denying that Charlie Kirk has built an empire that influences millions of Americans. From his teenage essay-writing days in suburban Illinois to standing on stage alongside presidents and billionaires, Charlie Kirk's rise to fame is a testament to how rapidly power can be accumulated in modern America. He leveraged timing, the Tea Party wave, the Trump movement, and the rise of social media into a personal and institutional empire. And while his critics may question his methods, his supporters view him as a fearless defender of conservative values in hostile territory. The story of how Charlie Kirk rose to fame and built an empire is not just about one man. It is about the evolution of American politics in the 21st century. It is about how influence, money, media, and ideology intersect to create movements that shape the future. At only 31 years old, Charlie Kirk's empire is still growing, and his name, Charlie Kirk, remains a defining force in the battles over America's culture, campuses, and political destiny.